Welcome back to Real Facts. You are now live with Shanea Blanco. Um, Welcome. So I wanted to start off by letting you guys know how I actually got started doing the podcast or the idea or whatever. I was actually I'm just gonna say I was working for a radio company at first. Not long. I won't go off into why I left or anything, but while I was there, I had learned some things and it just sparked an idea in my head since, I wasn't a personality at the radio station anymore. And before that though, I was actually a hip hop artist or trying to pursue a hip hop dream or whatever. Well, I was just actually doing something. I had been rapping on and off throughout my life, but as I got older, I had did one more, single or whatever, after years later. I decided it was a nice little song, but I've noticed that I don't know, I was changing and I didn't want to give out a negative message to the streets. Like it's already enough drama going on in the world and I didn't want to add to it. So I decided to do something different. I guess I ended up coming to a crossroad in my life where I had to make a decision like what kind of life do you actually want to live? Like what do you actually want to project to the world? What do you want to do? I was asking myself that. But so I had when I was working at the radio company or whatever, or through virtually or whatever, I had went through some crazy things there with a couple of people for whatever reason. I'm not sure, but after I left, I took what I had learned from them, and I had ended up starting a podcast. Now I was nervous. Camera shy of being on camera in front of the world, because I even though I don't know if a lot of people. I mean, it is a lot of people that caught on, but I don't have as big of audience as, like a celebrity or something like that. But, I have a little group of people, like probably like 30 on one platform, probably like 100 on another platform. I'm on Spotify, of course, YouTube, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and Apple Music. So that's a pretty big platform. And also Riverside. So I decided that I wanted to just, inspire people or, uplift people, talk about some things that no one really talks about anymore. And well, it's talked about, but it's not talked about enough. Like people are going through this thing in relationships, like fatal attraction. Not every, of course, not every relationship is a fatal attraction relationship for some, but there are a lot of people that are living in fear, and they shouldn't have to live like that. A lot of people don't know how to walk away, and they don't know how to get out. And sometimes, you can get out a little too late. So I had, over the years that I've lived here on earth, I've had, witnessed or been involved, experienced some of these things. I guess everybody has a fatal attraction tendency. Now, some are severe. And what I mean by everybody, which like, fatal attraction is like an intense, deep desire for someone. Now, people that can't control that intense desire for somebody, it can lead to a lot of issues, a lot of problems in a person's life. They can't control their emotions. They become controlling, I guess, out of fear for the other person leaving them or whatever. So they do everything in the book to keep this person from going on or moving on to the next relationship or whatever. And I've experienced these things in different relationships, to be honest with you. I've had a person that tried to run me over with their car. I had somebody knocked on my door, tried to pour gasoline. I had a gasoline in a bottle, a water bottle, tried to pour it on me and set me on fire. I've had someone do something to my drink to make me not leave, like all kind of stuff. Like, I mean, I'm not laced, but whatever they put in my drink caused me to fall out into a deep sleep. Like I was like unconscious, like they would do a person that's about to have surgery. And like I just didn't have any control over what was going on at that time. And so after, I've been through a lot. And after everything that I had been through, and after seeing everything that everyone else had been through and that are going through, that's what inspired me to start this show on, fatal attraction relationships, because I know what it feels like to be trapped in a situation that you want to get out of, but you can't, or you don't know how, without somebody getting hurt or whatever. And so anyway, when I first started the show or whatever, I started it back in May. Like I said, I was camera shy, and I started off with cartoon characters of myself. And I just was doing the little, was it Audacity program or whatever. And I was just, talking to everyone and just, breaking down different things of mental health issues and all that kind of stuff or whatever that people carry, depression, personality disorders or whatever. A lot of people can, have probably went through a personality disorder on a different level as far as finding out who you are or what you really want to do. A lot of people didn't know what they want to do. I know I didn't really know what I wanted to do growing up. So I was confused for a long time. And I just lived my life, experienced some things, and, I didn't like it. And I just woke up one day and said, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to do something totally different because, after you try something for so long or whatever, and you realize that it's really not serving you, it's not what you expected, you end up living that particular lifestyle, and you realize that this life isn't for me. And so you end up, just changing, consulting with God. And those of you that got a relationship with God, I prayed to the Lord, because I needed guidance. I needed spiritual direction. And I really needed to hear, a word from God. And I felt like he was speaking to me through my storms that I was going through or whatever. Like it was attacks happening back to back. Like a lot of things were happening around me or whatever. But anyway, so that's what had changed me. A lot of things that you go through or that we go through in life will, bump you into your purpose. So we can think that we can choose this particular way of life, but God has a funny way of redirecting us towards the road that we need to go. And basically that's what happened with me. God redirected me, and I'm glad that he did. I'm so glad that he did, because I really don't see, I really couldn't see a future in the life that I was, trying to pursue, or the person I was trying to be at that time. There was no future in that. And I wasn't really myself. So it was like a personality disorder. And a lot of people go through that. They don't want to admit it. Some people go through it in their teenage years, and they come out of it, probably a couple of years or a few years after they hit their 20s or whatever. But some people are stuck in that mentality into, I don't know, age 30, or some people are stuck in that mentality forever. And some situations are overboard. Like there's different levels of this thing. Like some people have like severe personality disorders to the point that they are committing crimes. They're actually out here hurting people because of this disorder, whatever. And I'm sure that it has something to do with other situations, other malfunctions in the mind as well. But if it got to like someone actually abusing someone. But in certain cases, there is like this identity disorder that a lot of people in the world are going through right now. Like there's people getting their sex changed. They're getting their sex changed, and I'm glad. I do agree with with Donald Trump for stopping that, especially because of the situation that happened with one of the celebrities' kids was allowed to get their sex changed. And when you're a kid, you don't really know what you want. You think you know what you want. A lot of adults don't know what they want. So for a kid to be able to make that big decision on changing their sex, that's bizarre. And I don't think anyone should put that kind of weight on a child. You have to let a kid grow up. You have to teach a child first the right way. And then you have to let them gradually figure out what they want to do in life. Because a lot of people don't know what they really want to do, whether it be a job, whether it be a dating situation, whatever. A lot of people don't really know, so sometimes, that help, that spiritual guidance. That's why it's important to be in church. as well. You can get, spiritual help from church members. But I know that there's a lot of people that been hurt in the church, and I'm one of them. Like, I had believed in I met a lot of people that were supposed to be church people. I'm sorry, guys, I'm taking off my sock. But anyway, so I met a lot of people that was in the church or whatever. I'm not bashing church people, so don't get it twisted. But I met a lot of people that was in the church, and they were very anointed. They were, like I mentioned before in one of my shows, I believe they were very anointed. They were prophesying in God's name. They had a gift to see and all this good stuff or whatever. They were praying for people, laying hands on people, putting holy oil on people and everything. But then they would turn around right outside of church and go do the things that they preached on, that, telling other people not to do or whatever. And I want to be one of those kind of people. You know what I'm saying? I said, when I give my life to the Lord, I want to give it all the way to God. And of course, I'm not all the way in church like that. I'm in church, but God is still working on me. But I know it's time to come all the way in, because I'm getting all kind of things that's happening personally in my life or whatever. And I know why, because God wants me to come all the way in. But anyway, what I was trying to say is that people need spiritual guidance from the right people or whatever. People that's not going to actually, judge them, but they're still going to pray with them. People need people that they can call at 3:00 in the morning. Hey, I need you to pray for me. I'm not feeling well. I'm depressed. I'm sad. I feel nervous about something. Anything, you always need somebody to call on or whatever. So the right people, because, it's a lot of people out here that's, prophesying in God's name and doing things that they say that they're ministers of God. They're supposed to be running for the kingdom, but they're actually running for the devil. Because soon as a person, if I was a person that didn't know God and didn't know the word of God or whatever, I don't mean to preach to y'all, but I'm just gonna keep it real. If I was a person that didn't know God and I didn't know the word of God or whatever, I'm new. All right. So I got these ministers or whatever. They're coming to me. And they're telling me all these beautiful things about, God, about Christ and all the kingdom and all of this and that. And then they turn around and do some evil things to me. That would make a person that don't know God run from God. I mean, run away from the church. They wouldn't even believe in it. They would leave. And that's a lot. And I guess that's a reason. That's the reason why a lot of people aren't going to church or whatever, or getting close to church people like that. And they're actually falling off into other religions or whatever practices like witchcraft and all that kind of stuff, because they've been hurt by the church. Some have been, brutally hurt by people in the church. But this isn't about that. I'll save that for another time. But what I'm saying is, a lot of people that are going through crisis in their life, that's, crying out for help, need somebody to call in the midnight hour sometimes, and I know that you can just call on God, but what about the person this week that doesn't have a prayer life? Sometimes people need help, right? But anyway, so that's why I had started this. I started my show because of the experiences that I had went through in my past and whatever. And I wanted to just talk about these things, because making an awareness for the upcoming young women and young men that's coming up in the world, and they're just now experiencing real relationships, and they don't really know how to choose the right partner, because a lot of people choose partners out of loneliness because they're lonely or whatever. And you can choose the wrong person being lonely. You can end up in a situation that you cannot get out of, because some people don't make it out. Some people don't make it out. And a lot of people do, though. A lot of people do make it out of toxic fatal attraction relationships, which is a good thing that they do. But for the ones that don't or didn't, that's a heartbreaking situation for the family of that person and the kids, if they had them or whatever, friends, all of that, but Sometimes, a lot of people don't want to get involved in people's situationships because as soon as you get involved, they'll be right back with that person that they wanted you to help them get away from. And so that's why a lot of people don't like to touch that. But it's important to keep tabs on stuff like that. Even though you don't want to get involved in the situation, but what if the situation turns for the worse? Like, things can get really, really, really bad. Sometimes it's good for people to step in and offer assistance. And I don't mean like offer assistance as far as, hurting somebody, but as far as like helping this person get away from this particular person, if if you could help collect evidence on the situation. If you see something, you know, like I say, help collect evidence on the situation and report it. Because, you don't want to hear about things and hear about people's situation, and then next thing you know, the next week or the next month or a few months later, they dead because nobody offered any kind of assistance. But I mean, it's not really other people's fault either that things happen to certain people. It's really our own fault, for getting involved with someone. And a lot of people that get involved, I found that a lot of people don't want to take accountability for their actions because they feel like it wasn't their fault because they were so tied to this particular person or whatever. And soul ties are very, very much real. It's a spiritual thing once again. And so when you know that you're dealing with something demonic or whatever, it's time to get closer to God. And I mean all the way closer to Him, because that's the only person that can actually pull you out of that situation. Going through something like that. And then, learn from it. When you get out of it, learn from that and try to choose the right partner next time. Be careful who you connect with. Do a background check. As I mentioned before in my last episodes, do a background check. And sometimes people have a clean background, okay? Nothing wrong with them. Like story I was, just looking at, I think off Oprah Winfrey show. There was a guy that was abusive to his wife. He was in college for getting his master's degree in counseling families, all that kind of stuff. But he turned out to be a monster to his wife. He was abusing her. He burnt her friend's house down, trying to kill both of them because he thought she was in there. And he ended up going to jail. He ended up going to prison. He was sentenced to 7 years, but he ended up getting out. He only ended up doing 6 months because apparently the prison was overcrowded and he wasn't really, I guess he was a first time offender or something like that. But that was ridiculous. But yeah, so you can be very smart, very educated, have a clean record, have a history of being nice to people, and you could very, very well be guilty of such, uh, situations, things like that, fatal attraction. So a lot of people, they underestimate people that's, that seems like they're cool or whatever, but you just never know what's going on in a person's mind. So that's why you gotta always stay prayed up, because love is not supposed to hurt. But for some reason, love in certain situations can turn into hate. It can turn into some demonic activity. But that's not love. We all know that love is peaceful, it's kind, it's patient. There's no way that you could have loved this person in the first place to turn this evil. You know what I'm saying? So you gotta be careful with that. But let me get off into a few fatal attraction stories. Well, a fatal attraction story. Well, I had actually listened to some situations that had happened in some people's lives, and I just thought that I should share it on the show. And I wanted to just let you guys know how I had got started. I'm still learning as I go. I'm not perfect. I'm not saying I got the best show. All right. But I'm getting there. All right. I'm getting there. But anyway, so this show is to bring awareness, to fatal attraction situations. Because every day they say that 3 women are being killed by their significant other, by their intimate partners. And most of them are being stalked or terrorized. There was a lady by the name of Jardine Dover. She had shot her ex-husband or boyfriend or whatever because he had, I guess he kicked down her door, broke into her house. He was planning on killing her. And so she was so sick and tired of going through it. Not only sick and tired, she was just afraid for her life all the time. This guy could just pop up out of the middle of nowhere. And she told the judge that she just wanted to go to prison to get away from this man. So when he busted into her house, she had shot him 5 times and killed him because he repeatedly told her, if I can't have you, nobody can. And there are people out here like that. They would try to do everything in their power to make sure nobody has you but them, or they be the last person that you have or whatever, or something like that. There are people out here like that. There was another situation with a lady named Patty. Her ex ended up serving 4 years. Oh, I'm sorry, I told that story. I didn't mention her name. He was the guy that burnt the lady's house down and ended up getting out. That was crazy. Anyway, another woman by the name of Robin Oswald, she told her husband that she wanted a divorce, and he just flipped out into a rage, and he went toward her with some scissors, trying to stab her in the head, and she blocked it with her hand. And the scissors ended up cutting her meat down to the bone. And so she said her hand slammed on the bed, feeling lifeless, numb. And he ran towards her again, and he cut clumps of hair out of her head. And then he dragged her to the bathroom and put her head in the sink or whatever and shaved her head bald. And because of the blood was gushing out so bad from her head all over the floor, and he was trying to clean it up, he didn't get to move forward with his plan. He was trying to actually kill her. But she said she started just praying intensely to God or whatever, and God gave her what to say to this man. She said, just get in the water. She told him to just get in the water and it would be cleansed. I guess all of the blood or whatever. He listened to her. Shockingly, he listened to her. She turned on the shower. She, with her other hand that was healthy, she opened the door and kind of, cracked it, cracked it so she can get out or whatever while he wasn't looking. And so she made a run for it. She ran, and she ran to the neighbor's house. Her kids were there, and it was like 4:30 a.m. in the morning, and that's how she made it out. I guess he ended up being arrested or whatever, but he ended up only serving, I think, like 7 years for attempted murder. But he ended up getting out, and he got married to another woman in another state. I don't even think that other woman knows what this man did to his ex-wife. Anyway, she survived, and that was a blessing. Another lady, she apparently her husband had stabbed her or something. Hold on, I'm sorry. Yeah, stabbed her, and he almost killed her, but somehow she ended up getting away or something. She ended up getting away, and he ended up going to prison or whatever, and he got back out. And he was still stalking her. Like, he still stalks her to this day type stuff. So she feels like everywhere she moves, this man is following her, everywhere she goes. Like, because one time she says that she went over to a friend of hers or relatives of hers out in another state. And he ended up calling that same house days later asking for her after he had got out and everything. She feels like it doesn't matter where she goes. Like, he's going to find her or whatever. And someone made a good point in the episode. Someone mentioned something about, how even though a person can just make a threat and they won't be arrested, but you can make a threat to the president and you're going to prison. You're going to go to jail, you know. But I mean, for some reason, in these kind of cases, these fatal attraction cases, they're not taken serious enough, if you ask me. A lot of people aren't taking this as serious because they haven't been through it. I think the only person that can understand this kind of thing, the only people that can understand this kind of seriousness of this situation is people that actually been through this. Now, some people get a kick out of the jealousy, husband or wife or whatever. They think it's cute until things get real, you know, until somebody gets hurt or somebody's damaging your property and doing, you know, just trying to terrorize your life, you know, trying to destroy you, like destroy your mental, you know, it's a very serious matter. So if you're one of those people that's in a situation like that, please leave. As soon as you get away to escape this person while they're at work or something, leave. Sometimes you can't take everything. Sometimes you can't pack anything. Sometimes you just have to run. You have to just run. If you got kids, sometimes you just got to just take your kids and get out of there while you still got your life. All right. Anyway, that concludes my show, guys. I kind of came on, for those of you that watch me every Wednesday at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time, I kind of came on late because I was having technical issues with my computer. Well, not actually with my computer, it was with my network or whatever. I think we had a little outage. I'm not sure what was going on. So that's why I was kind of delayed. But it was a pleasure talking to you guys, and hopefully you join me back here on Real Facts next week. Hope to see you guys soon. And don't forget, if you have any stories you would like to share with the people that's, you know, that watch my show or people in the world about your story, if you have a situation that you had survived and you made it out, please don't hesitate to email me at shaneablanco@yahoo.com. All right. It's been real, you guys. I'll see you guys next week, Wednesday at 11 p.m. Central Standard Time. Thanks. Your love.